You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, supporters of the Special Olympics took an opportunity to show their support in a unique way.
Also, protesters took to the streets in Joplin in light of President Trump's recent actions.
And we've got ourselves a mostly cloudy start to the day, and then it'll be cloudy, and then we have snow on the way later. We'll go over those details with you in the forecast to get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Elise Noe.
I'm Chris Warner. It is coming up on 7:01 on this Monday of Mondays, February the 10th. Of course, we've got to be to bed early. I watched the first half of the Super Bowl. I was in pain.
Yeah, it was we didn't miss much when I went. I mean, I went to bed around the same time too after the halftime show, and the halftime show was kind of the highlight if you really think about it, because it was not great for the Chiefs.
It was not, but honestly, they made it to 3 consecutive Super Bowls, which is no easy thing to do. And the Eagles knew who they were playing. Right. They knew what they were up against. They came ready, and they definitely demonstrated that. So make sure check on your neighbors, make sure everyone's okay. And in the meantime, maybe a cold shower, a good way to get the day started. And some folks did that over the weekend.
Yes, they did. A Polar Plunge fundraiser was held Saturday in Pittsburgh to benefit Special Olympics Kansas.
KOM's Mitch Adams has more.
This time of year, some people dream about the summer. Despite cold weather and gloomy conditions, the Polar Plunge gives you a chance to take that dip that you've been itching for.
We ask ourselves why people want to always jump into cold water, but it's for a good cause, and we have plungers that have came for the last 20 years to jump in. It's just a way to spread the word and also get the community involved in everything that we do. The
plunge is simple. Register yourself or a team of brave friends, and once you're announced, all right, guys, jump right in. 2, 3, go! The proceeds from registration, which was a pledge of $100, are donated to Special Olympics Kansas.
So the money raised doesn't just go to a sporting event or an athlete, it goes to the entire experience. Our experiences with our athletes are all about improving their quality of life. So being able to have the funds to provide those experiences so the athletes can walk away with lunch and medals and socialization and hanging out with their friends and inclusion, that's really what today is all about.
One Special Olympics athlete from Pittsburgh explained his thoughts on the plunge.
Tell me what you think about the Polar Plunge.
I like the Polar Plunge too.
What do you think about the Polar Plunge?
It's too cold.
It's too cold?
Yeah.
Although the water is frigid, plungers did their best to make a splash in the community. In Pittsburgh, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
Pittsburgh Police and Fire, Galena Fire, and Haven Support Services were just some of the groups who participated in Saturday's fundraiser.
Well, I talked about cold. I mean, it was cold this weekend. It was pretty darn chilly. Diving into that water. I mean, it is for a great cause.
Yes.
That is terrific. I couldn't do it.
No, neither could I.
Boy, that's a little too cold. And it's going to remain that way for the next few days because we got snow on the way, which we'll detail that for you in just a moment. But first, we got to get you ready for Monday. I know it's going to be tough, but we got to get up. We got to push on. We got to go. We're going to go outside with a look from our camera at 4th and Broadway in downtown Pittsburgh. Now, see, we didn't actually have to go outside. The camera's out there, and it's doing it for us. It looks beautiful. Got a great start to the day. Nice sunrise out there. We are mostly cloudy. It is a bit on the cold side, but otherwise not that bad. MoDOT camera 20th and Range Line in Joplin. We still have those mostly cloudy skies as well this morning. See, folks are getting their day going. It seems like they're going a little slower, maybe a little sluggish to start out there. Now, we do have winter storm watches in our northwestern counties. So these officially go into effect tomorrow and run through 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, as we could see a fair amount of snow in our northwestern counties. So this is still sticking true to what we talked about last week, where it seems like the bulk of the heavier snow should be along the I-70 corridor. And again, we'll talk more about the snow in just a moment. Today, though, mostly cloudy skies, eventually becoming just straight up cloudy as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. And overnight tonight could eventually get a light wintry mix. Not anticipating any major accumulations tonight, but could have some slick spots by tomorrow morning's commute. Right now, though, again, cold, mid-upper 20s across the area, so a bitterly cold start to the day. Again, mostly cloudy, and then eventually cloudy. We'll have east winds, occasionally gusting to 20 miles an hour, and our highs cool but seasonably so, right around the mid to upper 40s. We'll talk more about the snow that's on the way, when you need to worry, when you shouldn't worry, what we do know and what we don't know here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. Well, a protest in Joplin took place Saturday afternoon in relation to policies put forth by the Trump administration. The protest is similar to the ones we covered last weekend in both Carthage and Pittsburgh. The protest took place on the corner of 7th and Range Line. No incidents have been reported. Well, in November, KOAM's Samantha Walker first told you about a teacher in Pittsburgh struggling with mold problems in her home. But her property management company claimed the issue had been resolved. However, that isn't the story. Samantha sat down to talk to our Tanya Bach about what an expert found.
I'm joined here now with KOAM's Samantha Walker, who has been working on a special report that airs Monday night at 9 and 10 p.m. And it's concerning mold issues here in the 4 states. That's something that no one wants to deal with.
Never. You know, you may remember back in September, we actually aired a story about a Pittsburgh teacher who says she's been dealing with these mold issues for 6 years. And it resulted in actually, when she complained about these issues, her lease not being renewed. Now behind us, you can see some of these images that come up. This is mold found in Susan Ledbetter's home. So these are things you don't want to have in your home. So after that special report, an air quality specialist reached out to her. He said, I want to help you get answers. He did free mold testing at her home, and the results are kind of astonishing.
So not only did she have mold in her home that she dealt with for years, but her family was getting sick over it.
You know, what we'll find in these reports is she had large amounts of a mold growth called aspergillus, and that impacts your airway specifically, according to this mold specialist. It was something her daughter was having severe asthma, coughing fits. She was having constant headaches. You know, they felt like they were getting sick. You know, she told me, I knew when the mold was back. I could sense it when I stepped in the home. And I think that's something just really powerful.
So why did this woman agree to do a second interview with you?
She really wants to hold this property management company accountable. She said she was so startled by the community response to her story initially. You know, people, they started to GoFundMe to her because she had to replace so many belongings in her home. But she says, it's not the community's responsibility, it's this property management company's, and they're not stepping up, and they may do this to somebody else. And that's really her biggest concern.
Sounds like it's going to be a really powerful piece. And again, your special report airs Monday night at 9 and 10 p.m. You can tune in either time. All right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tonight on KOAM, we'll have the details on what mold testing found in her home and why specialists say the findings could have impacts on her family's health. And those are our top news stories this half hour. Coming up next, President Trump announced that new tariffs will be issued later today. We'll have the latest from Washington. And later, we'll hear how one organization is using teddy bears to spread kindness. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Well, topping Nation Watch this morning, more international tariffs may be on the way as President Donald Trump continues an economic measure as a political tool. President Trump plans to impose a new 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports. The tariffs are seen as reciprocal moves on countries that impose tariffs on U.S. exports and also as a revenue source to cut into the nation's budget deficit. Specific details about how the new tariffs will be imposed aren't yet available. The Super Bowl halftime performance gets interrupted by a person with Palestinian and Sudanese flags. Now, security at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans yesterday took down a person with Pal flags while Kendrick Lamar was performing. The Palestinian flag had the word Gaza written on it, while the Sudanese flag said Sudan. Now, it is unclear if the person was part of the performance or a fan who made it on the stage. And a freeze on foreign aid continues to cause confusion and spread fear among humanitarian workers as aid programs across the globe are shutting down. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has more from the White House on the detrimental effects of the pause.
The Trump administration has halted nearly all foreign aid, with the U.S. Agency for International Development as its main target to cut down on federal spending.
All too often, these missions and these programs, number one, are not in line with strategic U.S. interests.
That 90-day freeze had abruptly stopped programs across the globe, providing humanitarian and development assistance. The agency works in more than 100 countries, supporting businesses in places like Kosovo.
There are projects that have been running 2-3 years, or even a year, just kicked off, and they were just cut off.
Doctors are now faced with shutting down global clinics that rely on USAID. Some of those include prevention for HIV and treatment for tuberculosis and cholera.
That's 6.3 million people, 6.3 million AIDS-related deaths that will occur in future.
UN officials are also warning of a 400% increase in AIDS deaths worldwide if resources are not restored. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has since issued waivers which will keep life-saving humanitarian assistance open. But some aid workers say there's a lack of communication on whether they can restart their work.
But there is still a lot of confusion about that waiver, and we're hearing and seeing on the ground that it is slowly being implemented. The waiver should mean that 20 million people living with HIV that depend on U.S. aid for their treatment can continue their medication.
A federal judge has since ordered the reinstatement of nearly 500 USAID workers after 2 unions sued the federal government. At the White House, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
And those are our top national stories this morning. Let's head over to Chris for a quick look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've still got those winter storm watches for our northwestern counties. And again, we'll go over all of this with you in detail and break down those snow chances and maybe even some freezing rain chances right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 7:16 on this Monday morning. We have these winter storm watches again, our northwestern counties. These will officially go into effect tomorrow and run through 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, because in these zones, that's where we could see the heavier amounts of snow. And what you don't see on this map is how far out these winter storm watches go. They stretch off to the north and east, back into parts of western Illinois. And then as they come back, they do include Wichita and stretch points west along and north of the I-70 corridor, again, all the way down far south as Wichita and Hutchinson. So that's still somewhat in line with what we talked about last week with the placement of the snow, and at least where the heavier snow will be off to our north. But so those winter storm watches reach down into our area, so we could see some heavier snow. We're going to go over that in just a moment. Now today, we're just mostly cloudy. Eventually we will be cloudy. Today, seasonable, just kind of dreary looking out there, which is how it's really been the last few days across the region. Now, overnight tonight, again, it's not showing up too well on Future Track. We're going to have that possibility of a light wintry mix, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow. We're not anticipating any kind of accumulations overnight tonight, but slick spots will be possible because it'll be cold, and you can see it'll be cold as we start the day. Now, Tuesday, it's cold. We'll have that snow chance come in. Now, Tuesday, again, we talked about this last week, too. You may remember the Tuesday situation not looking to be nearly as much precipitation as what we'll see as we head into Wednesday. So by Tuesday, yeah, snow. Will it stick? Probably. Will we get some accumulations? I'm sure that we will. Will it be significant? We're not really thinking so. Okay, that's not looking likely for tomorrow. But the snow will be possible. You can see it's going to be brief. It's not going to be around very long. There's not going to be a lot of it, but we could still get some. Now, overnight, Tuesday into Wednesday, that's when things change. About 3 o'clock in the morning, boom, here comes the snow. Now, we talked about, too, Future Track is reading precipitation type at a certain height in the atmosphere. So it's also based on the temperature at that height of in the atmosphere as well. Whatever that level is, whatever that temperature is, the Future Track says, okay, it's above freezing, so that's going to be rain. Or it says this is below freezing. It's going to be snow. That's why we're getting rain here, but showing temperatures at the surface below freezing, which means freezing rain. That's how freezing rain comes to be, where it's warmer up here and colder down here. And then snow everywhere else. And this snow kicks in about 3 a.m. Here we are at noon. It's still going, especially across southeast Kansas. And again, back into those winter storm watch areas. It'll still be going. It will be about 4 or 5 o'clock by the time the last of the snow vamooses. So what is it going to leave behind? Well, that's still the question. This computer model, we're going to stop it first Tuesday at 9. That first little round of snow, a dusting, 10 to half an inch of snow. Now, it does, for some reason, think that there might be a little more snow in our eastern counties. But overall, you can see a dusting is what we're expecting. Then we go into Wednesday, and that's when things change. And we're looking anywhere from maybe 4 to 7 inches in our far northern counties, and again, especially where that winter storm watch is, with anywhere from a dusting to maybe 3 or 4 inches south of that. So that's what we'll have to watch. However, the next computer model, take a look at what it says. Now, it is almost in agreement for Tuesday. That's what we were saying about tomorrow. Not that big of a deal. It's showing a dusting. Slightly different area, but same result here. But as we go into Wednesday, you can see it's keeping the heavier snow right back again through that zone where those winter storm watches are, with lighter amounts off to the south and east. Still going to get some, just not nearly as much. So there's still a lot to keep an eye on. And the other thing we want to monitor, we're not anticipating a major ice storm or anything like that, but we could see some freezing rain accumulation with this system as it rolls on through. So we'll keep an eye on that. At most, we're looking, bridges, overpasses is going to be a bit slick. And if that changes, we will certainly let you know. Mid-40s today, mid-30s tomorrow. Temperatures falling into the afternoon. 30 about on Wednesday, back into the teens. Few flurries Thursday, warmer Friday. More of a wintry mix on Saturday, colder Sunday, and warmer next week. That's Check Your Forecast. We'll be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this. Well, for more than 100 years, the teddy bear has been a symbol of comfort to people of all ages.
On this Teddy Day, Jared Hill introduces us to an organization called Bear Givers that's working with students to spread kindness, one teddy bear at a time.
What you got? This is Daddy Bear and this is Mommy Bear.
I mean, come on. Kids and teddy bears, unbearably adorable. But in this New York City classroom, they're also part of a bigger lesson.
I'm going to teach you a little bit about kindness.
Classroom visits like this one are part of what the nonprofit Bear Givers calls the Leading with Kindness initiative.
We just get to spread kindness through gift giving.
Bear Givers launched in 2003 as a way to brighten the lives of children in hospitals with teddy bears. As the program grew, middle school teacher Karen Feldman came along.
You guys are going to give these out to the kids.
Introducing it to some of her students in 2022, hoping initially just to make a difference amid a rise in hate speech at the school. Talk to me about the idea of using decorating the bears in this kindness program as a meaningful consequence instead of just detention.
I wanted to have a program that would give students that jolt of adrenaline, but because they're doing something good. And maybe that would deter them, from doing something bad.
The act of kindness became contagious, spreading beyond the detention doors to other students who then took the reins.
We loved going to schools, and so we all thought, well, we should just continue this in high school.
I think we are planting kindness into them.
This class of kindergartners with cognitive and developmental challenges isn't just receiving a gift, they're passing it on. Decorating the tiny t-shirts on these teddies to take them to another group of students, continuing the chain of positivity.
Now, since its creation, Bear Givers has donated more than 500,000 bears. That's a lot of teddy bears.
It certainly is. And great to see. I'm sure it makes a difference.
Oh, absolutely. It's just something about him. Our youngest, he's like me. I had 100,000 stuffed animals when I was a kid, and he's the same way. They make you feel better. They make you feel safe.
They certainly do. Well, coming up, Pittsburgh residents came out for some chili to show their support for the SEK Humane Society.
And while today looks to be pretty decent, we are tracking winter weather chances. The latest when we come back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28. I'm Elise Snowy. Hideout Harley-Davidson in Joplin hosted its 3rd annual chili cook-off for the Super Bowl. The top 3 winners out of the 8 contestants each got trophies, and the top winner received a $150 cash prize. The staff of the store also put out their predictions for the big game.
Just getting the community together, just to be able to hang out at the Harley shop and enjoy some chili and hang out with good company. No matter what happens at the Super Bowl, that we're all here enjoying the love of the football game and love of Harley-Davidson. So,
well, many of the staff wanted it to be a close game. And the literary cat company in Pittsburgh hosted its first Kitty Bowl. The teams are the Chiefs versus the other guys, and one cat named Boots has scored 2 touchdowns. Customers can also give a donation to either team, and whichever one wins, they get a chance for 50% off books at the store.
Seeing the smiles and the laughter from people that come in and letting them see these once stray and homeless cats be social and loved, and hoping they're going to get a forever home today.
If you want to lower the number of stray cats, make sure to get your animals spayed and neutered. Now let's head over to Chris for a quick look at the forecast.
It's Monday. We're having a great day here. Hopefully you are as well. I know for Chiefs fans, it's going to be hard to have a great day, but we'll get there. And remember, they made it there 3 times in a row, guys. Come on, that's still awesome. We have this great view from our camera downtown Pittsburgh. We've got some sunshine, we've got some clouds, we've got mostly cloudy skies as we start the day. MoDOT camera 20th and range line showing the same thing. Again, I feel like it's going to end up looking like a holiday if you're commuting today. Maybe not that many people actually going to work. That may or may not be the case. We'll see. Winter storm watches, again, some good news. No changes to these yet, and hopefully it stays that way. I like the snow. I just don't want to be buried in it. But in these winter storm watches, they'll run through 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, and that's where we could see the heavier amounts of snow. Now, those watches outside of that map range, by the way, extend into western Illinois, all along the I-70 corridor back toward Colorado, and as far south as Wichita, outside of our area. So we'll keep an eye on all that. Now, for today, again, mostly cloudy skies, eventually becoming cloudy. And then eventually overnight tonight as well, could see a light wintry mix, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow in there. We're not expecting any kind of accumulations overnight. This will be after midnight, but it'll be cold enough, could lead to some slick spots as we start our Tuesday commute across the area. So do keep that in mind. We got mid-upper 20s everywhere today. We've got 30 now. Excuse me. We have 30 in Chanute. And yeah, that's not embarrassing in the slightest, but that's all right. It's the coffee. You can't say it with such concern, Tennyson. It's mostly cloudy skies again, cloudy by this afternoon. Mid-40s out there, and again, east winds occasionally gusting to 20 miles an hour. We do have the snow chances. Now, they start tomorrow, and they will continue into Wednesday. Now, Wednesday looks to be the big event in terms of snowfall. How much we're going to get? Still a bit of a question. We'll go over what we do know and, of course, what we don't know with you here in just a few more minutes. Elise?
All right, Chris, thanks. The Southeast Kansas Humane Society hosts their annual chili feed to support the animals in their care. KOAM's Mitch Adams has more.
The Southeast Kansas Humane Society hosted a chili feed with all donations going towards their animals. The chili feed has a long history in Pittsburgh, one that's coming up on a half a century.
We have our 48th annual chili dinner happening today. It's our largest fundraiser that we do every year. You know, 48 years ago, probably never thought that this type of event would last and be blown up this big. So we're super appreciative of the community support for us allowing to have another 48th year of this.
$8 gets you a bowl of chili, a drink, and a dessert, with each dollar finding its way back to the Humane Society.
From our spays and neuters, from our vaccines, to our microchip clinics, to 100% goes to every single animal out at that shelter.
Community volunteers worked in the kitchen, while Reese Nichols Realty volunteered in front of the building, handing out quarts of chili to the drive-up customers, all for the sake of the animals.
A lot of the community that we see is not only indoors, but outside too. We started the drive-through many years ago, and that blew up. I mean, from people just driving through to go home to the big football game. So whether we see you indoor dining and sitting down, or just through the drive-through giving us a high five, thank you. We thank every single person of the community that came out to support this event.
In Pittsburgh, Mitch Adams, KOAM News.
Como Jewelry had a Blingo Bingo game at the chili feed where players could win different accessories. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. A Virginia woman is looking to make an impact to area prisoners by providing free books. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. In Consumer Watch this morning, the world's richest man says owning one social media company is enough as he turns away suggestions that he buy another one. Elon Musk says he's not interested in buying TikTok. Musk made those comments in late January, and they were just released yesterday by a German media company. Musk says he has not put in a bid to buy it doesn't use it and isn't really familiar with it anyway. The popular short-form video social media platform is currently facing a U.S. ban if it cannot find a U.S. buyer because of national security concerns over the potential Chinese government access to its data. President Trump signed an executive order to delay its ban to buy it from Chinese company ByteDance. Well, Amazon settles a lawsuit with drivers over potentially withholding tips. The company says it will pay $4 million to settle charges of taking delivery drivers' tips in order to subsidize labor costs. The lawsuit claims Amazon misled consumers by assuring them that digital tips would go to Amazon's Flex drivers who are allowed to use their own cars. The company paid $61.7 million to settle a case with the FTC over similar issues 4 years ago. Both cases stated Amazon changed its payment model a year after it launched its Flex business in 2015 to not give the drivers the tips and did not notify the workers or customers of the change. Amazon denies the allegations. If your love life is on fire to get you hitched on Valentine's Day, one company tells you the most affordable places for it. Wallet Hub lists the trendiest places to say I do on Valentine's Day. 182 U.S. sites were compared based on wedding and venue costs, numbers of vendors per capita, and even 3-star hotel room costs. Now, the top 5 are Orlando, Las Vegas, Miami, Atlanta, and Tampa, Florida. Now, the most expensive places are Oakland and Oxnard, Pearl City, Hawaii, and Fremont, Santa Rosa, and San Jose, all in California. Well, for the first time, more craft beer breweries are closing than opening. That's according to the Brewers Association. Fox News multimedia reporter Kennedy Hayes is in Denver with the story.
Even though Colorado has the 4th most breweries per state, just behind Pennsylvania, New York, and California, it actually saw some of the most closures last year, according to the Brewers Association. And some of the only small breweries surviving are either the ones that are brand new or got really creative. It's not easy to own a brewery in Georgetown, a city about an hour west from Denver with just over 1,000 people.
These 4 tanks are all 15 barrels.
Patrick Tolan says this month his brewery, Cabin Creek Brewing, became the only one in town left standing.
This is basically just a big steeping tea kettle.
He says since opening in May 2020, their margins have been tight.
The cost of raw material, especially for the beer, the grain has increased. The shipping has massively increased.
The Brewers Association says things got worse during COVID-19.
The pandemic obviously also had secondary ripples for the economy, for supply chains, and it changed consumer patterns overall. We're seeing people certainly spend as much at bars and restaurants as they did before, but they're doing so in different ways, more to go and delivery.
For breweries, tap rooms, and brew pubs, experts say supply costs are up, drinking demand has dropped. Nationally, beer sales were down 2% last year, and in Colorado, it's more than 3%.
I think we're seeing some of the underdeveloped markets, the South and the Southeast, where there's still more growth opportunities, and we're still seeing breweries do a little bit better. Some of the most challenged regions are some of the most developed places like here in Colorado, the Pacific Northwest, the West Coast in general.
Tolan says he's kept doors open by raising prices and expanding the menu.
A lot of big brands are aligning with trend setting on social media in terms of offering non-alcoholic or alcohol alternatives. We've had to do the same.
Coming off dry January, some brewery owners say they're hoping that Super Bowl Sunday kicks up their sales. In Denver, Kennedy Hayes, Fox News.
And those are our top consumer stories. Let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:42 now on this Monday morning. We're going to start with this. Again, we have the winter storm watches for our northwestern counties, and these will run from tomorrow through 6 o'clock Wednesday evening, because at this point, this is the zone where some of the heavier snow could be, and really still keeping pace with what we were expecting in terms of the heavier snow. These winter storm watches extend northeastward up into western Illinois, and they extend back toward Wichita and level out and parallel the I-70 corridor through Kansas as well. So it's about where we were thinking the heavier snow will be. Now, can things still change? Of course they can. Are we getting a little more fine-tuned on what we're expecting? Yes, but Mother Nature also does what she wants. Okay, she's Mother Nature. She's in charge, and whatever she decides is what's going to happen. Now, for today, we are looking at mostly cloudy skies to eventually cloudy skies as we head into the evening hours out there. We'll have a gusty east wind at about 20 miles an hour. Overnight tonight, a wintry mix will be possible. Not showing up too well on future track, but it is there. We're not expecting anything in terms of accumulations, but some slick spots will be possible as we head out for our morning commute on Tuesday. And then by about mid-morning Tuesday, here comes some snow, and that'll continue across the area. Now, this snow expect to be relatively light. Shouldn't add up to too much. We're not as concerned about this snow as what we're expecting as we head into Wednesday. So we go overnight Tuesday into Wednesday, about 2-3 o'clock. It starts pushing in to our far western counties. By 5 a.m., we've got snow across virtually the entire western half of our area, creeping into the eastern portions as well. And yes, that's rain, and then temperatures at or below freezing at the surface. So freezing rain, especially south of I-44, is going to be at least a slight concern. We're not expecting ice storm situation, at least not at this point, but some light ice accumulations will be possible before eventually everybody just gets in on straight up snow for the most part, except where it might stay a little warmer closer to that low pressure down there, which you can see that rotation in the wind arrows. It'll be just to our south and east. But for the bulk of us, it's snow. And it will continue through about 4 or 5 o'clock. When the heavier snow moves out, some flurries will be possible later in the day Wednesday into early Thursday, but otherwise the main snow moves on out. So what kind of totals are we looking at? Well, this computer model believes that we're going to get a little bit more. Now, initially, and that's the one thing, because tomorrow is Tuesday, it's a lot easier to get this computer data in sync. So through 9 o'clock tomorrow, we're looking at 1/10 of an inch to maybe 1/2 an inch of snow across most of the area. This computer model thinks there might be a little more to our east, though. And then we go into Wednesday, and then it picks up. And again, where the winter storm watches are, this is making sense. But our northern counties, this one is showing anywhere from 4 to 7 inches of snow, a little bit lower amounts as you get further south. Now, the other computer model, again, is almost in sync now with the first one we just showed you. About a dusting of snow to 1/2 an inch as we go through about 9 o'clock tomorrow. The only thing is this has a slightly narrower zone for that snow. What the difference is when we go long range, we get through the rest of this through Wednesday, it is keeping the heavier snow for the most part right about where those winter storm watches are, and then keeping lighter snow totals off to the south and east. So again, we'll need to watch Wednesday closely. If any of this shifts just a little bit further south, then we're looking at much more widespread heavy snow. If that system decides to track a little further to the north, our snow totals in general start to drop. So we'll have to look at all of that. And then again, there's at least that slight possibility of some ice accumulation as we head into Wednesday and then ultimately by Thursday. Again, not expecting anything significant. Most of it would be along and south of I-44, but definitely could lead to some slick spots here and there. As for the rest of today, again, mid-40s out there, maybe a light wintry mix overnight. That'll continue through Tuesday, and then eventually some light snow, temperatures falling by the afternoon hours, but slowly. Around 30 on Wednesday, snow out there. A few flurries as we head into Thursday. A little warmer Friday, maybe another wintry mix on Saturday, and cold Sunday. We'll warm up again next week. That's Check Your Forecast. We're back with more right after this.
Well, a Virginia woman is on a mission to donate 1 million books.
While she still has a long way to go, she's made a dent in her goal by sharing her love of reading with inmates at a local jail.
For 10 years, Jennifer Williams, aka the Book Lady, has been on a mission to give away 1 million books. When she's not working one of the 5 jobs she has to keep up with the cost of books, she's out and about giving books to local schools. But on Wednesdays, she's at the Danville jail hosting a book club for the female inmates.
My goal is just to bring a little bit of joy and something to distract them with.
Since she started, she's given out 157,953 books, some to Blair McGrory.
It makes you feel good inside that somebody cares enough about books and us that they make it a point to bring us a book that we can have and keep
Since starting the book club 7 years ago, they've read 2.2 million pages. The women say the books give them a chance to experience a world beyond the jail walls.
It really gets my mind off of the outside and helps me to focus on my future.
But the program goes deeper than just discussing the books. Williams also takes the time to hear their stories.
How are you? Jennifer has a very kind heart. She's a volunteer that sits there and makes our day better just by giving us blessings.
She has patience with us because, you know, everybody have different personalities and she managed to deal with them.
Just like the many different genres of books they read, no matter their character or background, she loves them all the same.
I feel like they probably appreciate it more than a lot of groups because they don't have a lot of champions. They don't have a lot of, you can do this, or congratulations, or that was awesome.
That's incredible. And
Yes.
it's great work that she's doing and great work that she's raising $1 million. I bet she can reach that goal.
Absolutely. Great to see.
Certainly so. And for those who love snow, I've got something that's pretty great to see. Some winter storm watches in our northwestern counties. I know we've talked about them, but they will officially go into effect tomorrow and then run through 6 o'clock Wednesday evening. And you know how I know that? Because I'm going to show them to you. And there they are. See? Nice light blue color. Now, some good news since these came out yesterday. Now, again, they won't go into effect until tomorrow, but they've been issued out early, and they haven't changed, which is at least some good news, unless you really want some heavy snow across the entire area, and then, of course, that's bad news. But I think all of us are going to see snow over the next couple of days. As to exactly how much is still kind of up in the air, but we are starting to get some better ideas out there. So for the rest of the day, again, mostly cloudy to just eventually cloudy skies out there. Temperatures seasonably cool. Overnight tonight, again, not showing up too well on the future track. It's trying, but it's just not picking up because we're looking at a light wintry mix. That's why it's not showing up so well on future track. Not going to be anything crazy. No accumulations expected, but with these temperatures could lead to some slick spots as we start our Tuesday commute. By mid-morning tomorrow, we'll start to get a little bit more snowfall out there. Again, nothing crazy expected as we go through Tuesday. It will be Wednesday that the heavier snow is expected across the area. Starts as early as 2-3 o'clock in the parts of southeast Kansas, and it will continue to spread across the area. And it will be snow for most of us, with maybe some freezing rain along and south of I-44. And again, the heavier snow at this time still expected in our northwestern counties. And by about 4 or 5 o'clock Wednesday, the last of that's out of here. Now, flurries absolutely possible, if not likely, but the accumulating snow will be done by about 4 or 5 o'clock. So through tomorrow, again, this is why we're not too terribly worried. We're looking at most of us just a dusting to a ½ inch of snow out of what we get tomorrow. It's Wednesday that we're keeping an eye on, where some of our northwestern counties at this point could get maybe 4 to 7 inches of snow, and then it tapers off pretty quickly the further south you go. Now, the other computer model is in agreement with, for the most part, with that dusting of snow as we go through tomorrow. And then Wednesday, it's still keeping the heavier snow bands in our northwestern counties and tapering it off as you get a little further south and east. And just real quick, a check on that freezing rain accumulation. Again, not expecting anything on terms of ice storm status at this point, but a glaze of ice will be possible as we head through all of this, again, especially along and south of I-44, so that could lead to some additional slick spots for us as we head into Wednesday and Thursday. I'll have another look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
And here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A protest in Joplin took place Saturday afternoon about policies put forth by the Trump administration. This protest is similar to the ones both in Carthage and Pittsburgh. The protest took place on the corner of 7th and Rangeline. No incidents have been reported. The Southeast Kansas Humane Society hosts their annual chili feed to support the animals in their care. Participants enjoyed a bowl of chili, crackers, a drink, and desserts, with all proceeds going to support the Humane Society. Como Jewelry also had a Blingo Bingo game where players could win different accessories. And a Pittsburgh woman says she finally has answers about whether a mold problem in her home was fixed. It's a story we originally brought you back in September. Tonight on KOAM, we'll have the details on what mold testing found in her home and why specialists say the findings could have impacts on her family's health.
And we've got this today, about mid-40s. We're going to have mostly cloudy skies. They'll eventually become cloudy for us with those east winds gusting about 20 miles an hour. We're going to continue with cloudy skies through the evening, eventually back in the low 30s. And we'll have a light wintry mix overnight tonight, which While it won't accumulate or add up to much, it could cause some slick spots, wintry mix, and eventually some light snow tomorrow. Again, no major accumulations expected. Still breezy, mid-30s. It's Wednesday that the snow starts rolling in as early as about 3 a.m. and will run through at least 4 p.m., perhaps as late as 5 p.m. And will stick and will accumulate, so we'll keep an eye on that for you. Cold on Thursday, a few flurries. Another wintry mix Saturday, warmer next week.
Alrighty. Well, the world's largest children's choir sang an array of Bob Marley songs last Thursday in honor of the late musician's 80th birthday. Hundreds of thousands of children came together from around the world to sing hits including One Love and Three Little Birds.
Children at 2,000 schools from more than 50 countries, including the United States, Zimbabwe, and Jamaica, participated in the event. Bob Marley, born February 6, 1945 in the rural Jamaican town of 9 Mile, died from cancer in 1981 at just 36. So I'm actually a year older than Bob Marley. Oh, wow, that's something. Well, thank you all so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We're back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great rest of your morning.